The Blackwood Group's boardroom reeked of expensive cologne and inherited privilege. I stood quietly by the door, watching my stepsister Amanda and her cronies prepare for what they thought would be another routine board meeting. "Caroline, darling," Amanda called out without looking up from her phone, "be a dear and fetch us some coffee. The good stuff from the executive lounge, not that break room swill." Her friends, all junior executives who'd gotten their positions through family connections, snickered. They'd spent the past 5 years treating me like their personal assistant, never bothering to ask what I actually did at Blackwood Group. "Right away," I replied softly, hiding a smile. They had no idea what was about to happen. As I left the boardroom, I heard Amanda's voice carry through the door. "Can you believe Dad still keeps her around? Probably feels guilty about marrying her mother. Though I suppose every office needs someone to fetch coffee." If only they knew that while they were busy playing office politics, I'd been quietly revolutionizing Blackwood Group's entire operational structure. Those coffee runs had given me access to every department, every meeting, every decision. My phone buzzed, a message from Chairman Roberts. "Everything ready?" "Yes," I typed back. "They don't suspect a thing." The executive lounge was empty when I entered. Perfect. I took a moment to straighten my simple black dress, the same one Amanda had mockingly called very secretarial last week. The same dress I'd worn while negotiating the biggest deal in company history, not that anyone knew that yet. My phone buzzed again. "Board members arriving. Time to begin." I returned to the boardroom with the coffee tray, watching as the senior board members filed in. Chairman Roberts caught my eye and nodded slightly. Amanda was still holding court with her friends. "Of course, once Daddy announces my promotion to VP today, things will change around here." Speaking of changes, Chairman Roberts's voice cut through the chatter as he took his place at the head of the table. "We have an important announcement to make." The room quieted. Amanda sat up straighter, smoothing her designer suit. She'd been hinting about a big promotion for weeks, convinced her father's position as founder guaranteed her rise through the ranks. "As you know," the chairman continued, "Harold Blackwood's retirement as CEO has left us searching for new leadership. Someone who understands this company from the ground up. Someone who's been quietly transforming our operations while others were focused on titles and corner offices." Amanda's smile widened. Her friends leaned forward expectantly. "Therefore, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Blackwood Group's new Chief Executive Officer." Amanda started to stand, her acceptance speech clearly ready. "Caroline Weber." The silence was absolute. Amanda froze halfway out of her chair, her mouth hanging open. Her friends stopped mid-congratulatory gesture, their faces frozen in confusion. "I'm sorry," Amanda finally managed. "There must be some mistake. Caroline is just the person who redesigned our entire operational structure?" Chairman Roberts smiled. "Just the one who negotiated the Miller merger while everyone thought she was taking notes? Just the executive who's been running this company from behind the scenes for the past 2 years." I stepped forward, setting down the coffee tray for the last time. "Cream and sugar, Amanda? While we discuss the new organizational changes." "This is impossible," she sputtered. "She's nobody." "He brings coffee. She's just a secretary." "Actually," I said quietly, taking my place at the head of the table, "I was never a secretary. Your father hired me 5 years ago as a strategic advisor. He just suggested I observe from the background first, see how things really worked." "Daddy." Amanda turned to her father's empty chair. "Where is he? He needs to stop this." "Harold fully supports this decision," Chairman Roberts said firmly. "In fact, it was his idea. Who better to lead Blackwood Group than someone who took the time to learn every aspect of the business?" I opened my laptop, pulling up the presentation I'd prepared. "Now, shall we discuss the company's new direction? I believe we have a lot of changes to cover." Amanda slumped in her chair, her designer suit suddenly looking more like a costume than corporate armor. Her friends avoided eye contact, no doubt realizing their days of coasting on family connections were over. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Harold Blackwood himself. "Show them what real leadership looks like, Zoo." I smiled, remembering all the coffee runs, all the condescending remarks, all the times they'd dismissed me as just a secretary. Sometimes the best path to the top is through the service entrance. And sometimes the person bringing coffee is actually brewing something much bigger. Let's begin, I said, standing to address my board for the first time. We have a lot of work to do. The next hour was a masterclass in corporate restructuring. I outlined my vision for Blackwood Group's future while Amanda and her friends watched their privileged world crumble. As you can see from these projections, I continued, clicking through my presentation, our current management structure is top-heavy with redundant positions. Amanda's face paled as she recognized her own job title in the unnecessary overhead category. Moving forward, all positions will be merit-based, I announced. Past performance reviews will be conducted by an independent committee. No exceptions. Performance reviews? One of Amanda's friends squeaked. But we've never had to prove your worth? I finished. Yes, I know. That changes today. Chairman Roberts nodded approvingly as I pulled up the next slide, a detailed analysis of each department's efficiency. The same analysis I'd compiled during countless coffee runs and note-taking sessions. Caroline, Amanda finally found her voice, though it trembled slightly. Surely we can discuss this as family? Family. I raised an eyebrow. Like how you discuss my capabilities all these years. Or perhaps like the time you told the entire executive floor I was just the help? Her face flushed as several board members shifted uncomfortably, no doubt remembering their own dismissive treatment. But I've been here longer, she protested. I have an MBA from From Wharton, I cut in. Yes, we've all heard. Multiple times. Meanwhile, I was actually learning how this company works. Every department, every process, every weakness. My phone buzzed, another message from Harold. Amanda called. Ignore her threats. You have full authority. Now, I continued, pulling up the next slide, let's discuss the Miller merger. The one you all thought was being handled by external consultants. Recognition dawned on several faces around the table. The mysterious meetings, the confidential documents, the secretary, who was always somehow present. That was you. Amanda's closest friend gasped. But you were just taking notes. I was taking control, I corrected. While you were all planning your corner office decorations, I was rebuilding this company from the inside out. Chairman Roberts stood. Perhaps this is a good time to mention that under Caroline's quiet leadership, Blackwood Group's efficiency has increased 47% in the past year alone. But she brings coffee. Amanda burst out, her carefully maintained composure finally cracking. She wears the same dress every week. I smiled, smoothing down my simple black dress. You mean my lucky negotiation dress? The one I wore while closing the biggest deal in company history? Amazing how no one notices the person they think is beneath them. The boardroom doors opened and Grace, my new executive assistant, entered. Ms. Weber, your 11 o'clock with the International Board is ready. And HR has the new organizational charts for your approval. Thank you, Grace. I turned to the shell-shocked faces around the table. I believe we've covered the major points. Those of you receiving restructuring notices will hear from HR this afternoon. Amanda's hands shook as she grabbed her designer purse. This isn't over. Daddy won't let Your father approved every decision, Chairman Roberts interrupted. In fact, he specifically mentioned your tendency to treat support staff as personal servants when he recommended Caroline for CO. The room emptied quickly after that, leaving just Amanda and me. She stared at me like she'd never seen me before. In a way she hadn't. How long, she whispered. How long have you been planning this? Planning? I laughed softly. I didn't plan anything. I just worked, really worked while you all played at being executives. The coffee runs gave me access to every meeting. Taking notes? Documentation of every mistake and inefficiency. Being invisible meant no one watched what I was really doing. And now, I sat down in the CEO's chair, my chair. Now you get to experience what actual work feels like. That is, I checked the HR list on my desk. If you still have a position after the restructuring. Her face crumpled. Please, we're family. Funny, I replied, remembering all the times she'd emphasized our lack of real family connection. I thought I was just the help. As she left, her designer heels clicking desperately on the marble floors, I turned to the window overlooking the city. The same view they'd all coveted while I'd quietly built the path to earning it. By the end of the week, Blackwood Group was unrecognizable. The old guard of privileged executives had been replaced by talented professionals who'd been overlooked for years. Amanda and her friends had been reassigned to entry-level positions, those who'd chosen to stay anyway. I sat in my office, formerly Harold's sanctum of mahogany and tradition, now transformed into a modern command center of glass and steel. The same office where I'd been told countless times to leave the coffee by the door. Ms. Weber. Grace appeared with a stack of reports. The quarterly numbers are in. We're up 62% since the restructuring announcement. Thank you, Grace. I smiled, remembering how I'd spotted her talent when she was buried in the mailroom. And how's our former VP of social media appearances adjusting to actual social media management? Amanda called in sick again, Grace replied with a slight smirk. Apparently, creating real content strategies is harder than posting luxury lunch photos. My phone buzzed, a message from Harold. Dinner tonight? Amanda's been calling non-stop. Can't tonight, I typed back. Too busy running the company you knew I could handle all along. The intercom crackled. Ms. Weber? Your stepsister is here. Again. I sighed, straightening my lucky black dress. Send her in. Amanda entered, her designer outfit notably less pristine than usual. A week of actual work had taken its toll. Caroline, she started, then corrected herself. Ms. Weber. I've been thinking about my new position. The one where you actually have to work? I asked pleasantly. How's that going? It's impossible, she burst out. The deadlines, the expectations, the accountability. Also known as a real job, I noted. Quite different from your previous role of looking executive, isn't it? She sank into a chair, the same chair where I'd stood taking notes for years. How did you do it? All that time watching us treat you like I was beneath you? I finished. That was your mistake, Amanda. You were so busy looking down on me you never noticed I was actually climbing higher. My phone buzzed again, the international board requesting an emergency meeting. I'd handle it myself just like I'd handled everything else while they thought I was just taking minutes. The thing about being underestimated, I continued, is that it gives you freedom to observe, to learn, to plan. Every coffee run was a chance to visit different departments. Every note-taking session was documentation of inefficiencies. Every time you treated me like a servant, I was actually serving my own agenda. But why didn't you just tell everyone who you really were? I laughed. And lose the advantage of invisibility? The ability to see how people really behave when they think no one important is watching? Your coffee orders taught me more about corporate culture than any MBA program could. Standing, I moved to the window, my window now. You know what the real difference between us is, Amanda? You wanted to look successful. I wanted to be successful. And while you were all posturing in designer suits, I was building something real. And now? She asked quietly. Now? I turned back to her. Now you have two choices. Learn to actually work for a living or find another company where your last name means something. Though I should warn you, I smiled, I've already sent memos to all our industry partners about our new merit-based culture. Grace appeared at the door. Ms. Weber? The board is waiting. Thank you, Grace. I gathered my materials, pausing at the door. Oh, and Amanda? The coffee machine in the break room needs refilling. Since you're here anyway. Her face flushed as she recognized her own words from countless past meetings.